My name is Peter, recovered alcoholic. Grateful to be alive and sober and part of a sacred place called Alcoholics Anonymous. And thank the group for having me, and Sheldon for doing his thing here. And congratulations to all the celebrants. I think all of them, if not most of them, will say what I've experienced. And it's important we get up here and celebrate and give thanks to AA. But if anyone's new, this is really testimony, us bearing witness to Alcoholics Anonymous and to this God that keeps us sober. It's proof. If you're sitting here and counting days, wondering, is it going to work for me? And you go to an anniversary meeting, we see proof. I remember I was making my second year back in Brooklyn, and some kid walked in. He was standing in the back, and he looked like he just finished a run. And we just had some small talk. Well, fast forward 5 years, we were talking outside the Bay Ridge groupies. That was the first meeting I ever attended. And he said I was petrified. He says, you were celebrating 2 years, and we're around the same age. And I says to myself, this is him saying it, here's a guy my age making 2 years sober. Maybe there's hope for me. And he stayed. So it's a great thing that we get to celebrate these things. They're important. It's important that we get up here and take our coin and give thanks. So thank you for celebrating tonight. June 23rd, 1988 is when God separated me from alcohol. I'm very grateful for this precious gift called sobriety. The older I get, the longer I'm sober, I'm realizing how precious this is, because if you put my life on a spreadsheet, I shouldn't be here. In fact, many of us in this room should not be here with double-digit sobriety. It doesn't compute. Alcoholics Anonymous doesn't make sense to this mind. God doesn't make sense to this mind. But in the spiritual world, it makes perfect sense, because he goes out and get the lost sheep and bring him here, and we become his hands and feet to go do that for him. And then we see the miracles. Our big book says the age of miracles is still with us. Our own recovery proves that. So, sometimes my wife is coming up on 35 years in November, and I think about her life, and every once in a while I'll get that little God shot of thinking about my life with all the things I can complain about, that I'm still here. And men still come to me and say, can you sponsor me? And I have a home group, and I have a sponsor. And quite frankly, I hope you find this, that your whole life is centered around Alcoholics Anonymous. For me, it's never been a bridge back to life. I don't want that life. I mean, it wasn't even a life. I don't want to bridge back to that at all. Take it down. But there's life that we get. All my friends are in AA. Everything I do is around AA. All my traveling is around AA. All of it. When you go on vacation, the first thing I do is, where's a meeting? Wherever we're going. We're going to get to a meeting. Not, stuffing drugs in here and stuffing drugs in there and all of that stuff. So it's just a fabulous life. So my assignment is supposed to be step 3 tonight. We'll see where we go. Getting here, as a lot of you heard, my story was I'm not a one-chip wonder, and if that's your story, great. It wasn't for me. It was 7 treatment centers and a couple of meetings along the way with Alcoholics Anonymous, but I was always drunk. I was never sober. I never accumulated any time in Alcoholics Anonymous. The most amount of time I accumulated is after my longest treatment center, number 5, and it was 2 days of white knuckle sobriety. On Monday, I blew up because I couldn't take it. The narratives in the head, the noise in the head, the screaming, we need a drink, and my body didn't need a drink, but my mind said, yeah, you do. And my body always follows what the mind says. It's interesting, because alcoholism can't get drunk on its own. It needs a vehicle. And it sits up in the head and convinces this vehicle that drinking would be a good idea. And deep down inside, I know this is going to end bad, but I have to obey it. I have no choice, power, and control over it. And I do this over and over and over again. I think about it. I never picked up the first drink drunk. I was always sober when I picked up the first drink. But the thing that happens, I need to have a second drink and so on. And it all starts with this thinking process. That's why I never tell a newcomer, think the drink through, play the tape, you didn't keep it green, because that's relying upon me and a broken mind, and the part of me that creates the problem is not where I'm going to go to solve the problem, yeah? But if most of us are conditioned to figure stuff out, we do that in school. We study. We get arithmetic problems. Our parents tell us we'll figure it out. And it's all reliance upon a mind, which is deadly for a guy like me. The further I get away from it, the better I am. When thinking starts, when adversity happens, my mind seeks to deny the existence of something greater, and that's called God. And if I rely upon God, I'm always winning. It may not be on my terms. It may not be the picture I created, but I'm always coming out ahead. And I'm always buoyant. When I'm listening to my mind, everything's an issue. I break a shoelace, I need to get drunk. You know, I come into money, I need to get drunk. I wake up, I need to get drunk. It's just that's what I do. That's not going anywhere because I attend meetings. What I needed was this personality change sufficient to bring about recovery from alcoholism. I needed a spiritual transformation, a revolution, a reorganization. We can use a lot of adjectives to describe that the old guy's got to die and a new one has to emerge. And that one that emerges in us, the folks counting days and sobriety years, was always there. It's not like we just invented it. God put a potion together and said, zap, here you are. It was always there. It just got lost. It got lost in this thing called alcoholism. And there were times when I didn't even know who I was anymore because the lying was habitual. Constantly lying, covering my tracks, forgetting what I said and having to leave because you might find I'm lying. And the pressure and the weight of just, besides drinking, just trying to navigate, trying to pretend I'm clean and sober when I'm not. Wearing long sleeve shirts in the middle of July. You know, the Dauphins know what I'm talking about. You know, aren't you hot to long sleeve? No, I like long sleeve shirts. You're sweating profusely. Put on a t-shirt. I can't. I got holes in my arms. You know, why are you losing weight for? And things like that. Something changed in 1988. That wasn't my plan. I had lots of powerful desire to stop, and I couldn't. Because coupled with a powerful desire to stop was a powerful desire to keep going. The idea of not using scared me to death. How do you do sober? You know, how do you wake up, have breakfast, and detox? I would see the cocaine addicts, I hated them because they would eat breakfast after 3 days. They bounce right back. The Dauphins and the winos in the corner looking at the scrambled eggs, I got to get out of here, I'm going to puke. So the idea of saying I'm going to wake up, have breakfast, a cup of coffee, shower, get dressed, go to work. They want you there for 8 hours. For 5 days. And the weekend, what do? Chores. And then the next thing you know, it's Monday, I can do it all over again. I can't do this. Can I just phone it in and pay me? It was over life. Getting into a relationship. How do you date? I don't even know how to date. I don't know how to make love. I mean, I know how to do that, but I don't know how to do it. Drunk, I do anything. High, I do anything. Court someone, date someone, be a gentleman. The only ladies I knew were in the street. And they were like me. There's no proper etiquette. There's nothing. It's the life. You look for a job. I don't know how to look for a job. I don't have a resume. I see some cats coming in with, credit cards and cell phones into treatment. I do not identify with you just by walking in the door. And that's just for me. Because if I had credit cards and cell phones, I would have pawned them off somehow. I had lint in my pocket when I got here. And those pockets, those clothes had holes in them. That's just my story. But after a year of being away in my 7 treatment center, I was brought home. And I found a sponsor. And when I was in Minnesota, I heard your message. And I heard it clear because what God did for me and part of getting well, because I couldn't make this happen. I couldn't get myself sober. Divine intervention happened. I was a sinner. I was a thief. I was a liar and a cheat. And God says, I love you because of mercy. If God was a fair God, none of us are here. If God was like the courts, but God doesn't operate that way. If God was a human power, I wouldn't be here. burned too many bridges. So this gift of sobriety, and it is a gift, was given to me. Why? I don't know. I don't question it. In fact, my faith denies the existence, the need to understand anyway. It's a great thing about faith. I don't need it on a spreadsheet. I just have faith. I have to argue with you. I have faith. That ends the conversation. And I attended some meetings in Minnesota, and what God did for me was close the ears to the mind for the first time in my life. I couldn't make that happen. I still can. And open up the ears to the heart, and I'm hearing different. And I'm seeing you differently. I'm going beyond what my eyes see and beyond what my ears hear. You know, I was listening with godly ears and seeing with godly eyes, and I'm not God, but God is God. He can do that. What, you know, you get the new guy or the woman who comes in here, and they got 3 days and they're rocking and rolling. And in about 90 days, you take them through the steps and they sit in the corner with the big book helping somebody, giving them really good information. How's this happen? And they're excited about sponsoring. Selfish, self-centered, self-seeking, they like not thinking about themselves but helping others. It happens to all of us. That's a conversion. That's a shift. And it's just a great appreciation for, oh my God, I'm above ground, sucking air and sober. What else can I do? Sheldon's got double-digit sobriety. Can I read how it works? A lot of people with 20 years, that's beyond me. That's for newcomer. He said, can I read how it works? And I heard it. That's huge. I don't have to take a chip and be the spotlight. I want to read how it works. So I get a sponsor, begin a journey through the book, and I learn, as we talked about what step one is about, how deep those roots go. That the only thing that's going to, I suffer from an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer. That's what my book says. I'm here to prove to tell you that's true. I suffer from an illness called alcoholism, which only, very specific, a spiritual experience will conquer. How am I going to have a spiritual experience? Not by attending 90 meetings in 90 days. It's wonderful if you do that. We need to be here. Got to cut ties with the old. But during those 90 days, maybe I can run into a guy like Pat or a guy like Sheldon, a guy like Jimmy and say, hey, can you sponsor me? And in about 2 or 3 months, we've been revolutionized. I need soul food. That's been my experience. 7 treatment centers. Going in, I think I'm going to stay sober. By the time I get out, I don't think so. I'm sober for 2 days, 9 weeks and 2 days. My body did not need alcohol after my 5th treatment center. The mind says, yeah, you do. This is way too fast. It's way too much. It's overwhelming. I don't know what to do next. I got 80 people speaking to me at once. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't even carry on a conversation. But if I get a drink in me, it's just going to be cool. And I buy the lie, and the truth gets me all the time. I'm alcoholic. I'm never going to outrun that. But God will get in the middle of it. Yes, there's bulletproof shield between me and not only the drink, because I can suffer from alcoholism without ever drinking, and alcoholism can never transcend alcoholism, but I could put space between me and alcoholism. And God creates that. I have to be a holy roller, by the way. If you're new, don't get scared. I have to be a holy roller. It's nice if we go back to church. The book suggests it. It doesn't demand it. I can tell you, he talked about it before. I know Sheldon's involved. If you do go back to that kind of thing, it'll just make your sobriety erupt. I mean, I don't know about you, but I went for the best booze and the best powder. And I come into AA and says, I'll take the watered down stuff. That's good enough. I'll take the stuff that's been stepped on 100 times. No, we wouldn't do that. So when we talk about getting back to our religious community, along with, not instead of, why wouldn't I want it? The full dose. My life's on the line. And some of us die trying to find that out. And so my sponsor showed me in the first 43 pages plus doctor's opinion what I'm up against. It's very interesting that our steps in our book, 6 and 7, a paragraph each. How It Works has steps 3 and 4. Into action 5 through 11. And then we talk about step 1. We got doctor's opinion and 43 pages. That's a lot of stuff to deal with one step, because if I don't get that, I can't do the rest. If I still think I can play God, if I still think I'm God, then why would I do the steps, let alone turn it over? I'm not going to do it. I'll go through the motions, I'll check the boxes, but I'm not doing it. When I'm in a place of desperation where I know everything I do is unacceptable, it doesn't work anymore, and the pain is so great, the emotional pain, because we'll bounce back physically, but the emotional pain and the noise, I can't do this. I can't. I'll do whatever you got. Whatever you're selling, I'm taking. You look nice and shiny and glossy, I'm taking what you got. Just tell me how to get there. It's unbelievable. I remember being on the street many times, desperation, just wherever I went, I was always desperate. There were no good times. And when you're really desperate, I know you guys can identify with this, we'll do almost anything. Well, I'm at my sponsors is you realize you're capable of homicide and suicide. That's desperation. I'm out, I can't take it, I'm taking my life, or I'll do something to get money and hurt somebody or kill them. And if I think I can't do that, I got to take a look at step one again. For me, everything trickles back to step one. It says in our big book, I want to say page 748, faced with alcoholic destruction, we soon became open-minded on spiritual matters. Alcohol was a great persuader. It beat me into a state of reasonableness. That's graphic language. If I get that at a gut level, I can take a look at step two. If I don't, I'm just checking boxes in two. There's no way I'm turning everything I think I am over to God in three. It's not going to happen. I'll go through the motions and have a drink when I'm done. And step two, I think I shared last week, it was to point her out. I'm lost. I'm lost in the forest. I got to get out of this. I got to get away from me, as far away from me as possible. And step two is the signpost up ahead. It's going to tell me at agnostics how, where, and why to find God. What a powerful chapter. How do I find God? It's going to tell me. Where do I find God? It's going to tell me. And why should I even find this God? It's going to tell me. And a sponsor will point it out to me and give me some considerations. Do I now believe, or am I willing to believe that, not in, but that there's a power greater than myself? That changes the whole question. Not in a power, but that there is a power greater than myself. And my sponsor says, you sit here and think about this for a minute, that in this entire galaxy, can you say that there might be something more powerful than you? Unless I'm a narcissist, got serious mental health, I have to say, of course. I'll tell you what it was, a bottle of whiskey. It owned me. It was more powerful than me. I relied on it to take me from point A to point B. Whiskey was my God. It was bigger than me. I'm feeling this way. That makes me feel that way. Give me a double. It's that simple. Yeah. And when I come here, power greater than myself is you at the beginning. I'm a cradle Catholic. I never doubted the carpenter. But how do I get there? How do I get him to pay attention to my pain? You did. It was a GOD, a group of drunks for good orderly direction. I can't tell you. When I was new, like a lot of us, I didn't have friends on the street at the end. I didn't have any running partners. I didn't have any buddies. I was a lone wolf. I'm not even a wolf. I don't know what I was. I was just out there, roaming the streets at night, going to this abandoned building, got beat up way too many times. I was too weak to fight, and that was me. And I was a loneliness. A big book says we know loneliness such as few do. We could be at Yankee Stadium watching them lose. We can be at Yankee Stadium and feeling all alone. I had to write inventory on the Yankees. I'm so angry. I'm not taking any of their calls. Few words for Judge when I see him too. Anyway, so I come in here, and I'm being taken to AA meetings. The druggy buggy is taking us, and then I get out of treatment. I'm going to meetings, and the unity of this fellowship and the power. And my dad always told me, in unity there's power, in numbers there's power. Never go alone. Always go with a crew. And I come in here and I see all these folks. And bless the old timers, they weren't all in the big book. Some of them never opened the big book. I don't know if they're real alcoholics, hard drinkers, but they were all had double digits, and they all sat in the back, and they knew the new people. We didn't have cell phones, so you were watching the door, not getting likes. We didn't have cell phones. They were talking, smoking cigarettes, watching the door. Who's this? We don't know him. Get him. and you couldn't get out. And they circled the wagons. Sit with us. You were upgraded. Now you sit with the old timers. You're not up here or over there in the corner. Old man Frank would say, sit with us. And now you're like, wow, I'm kind of moving up the ladder here. Then they know your name. Hey, Pete, sit with us. I have nowhere else to go. So I felt safe in this, and that was my group of drunks with the early direction, my God. And the key thing was I was willing to trust you rather than me. I was willing to believe in you, something other than me, and that was the catalyst that started to drive me, little by slowly, not me. And I'm not being falsely humble, I take zero credit for this. I'm a drunken bum. I'm not a good guy. Some of us come in, maybe not here, but some of us come in and say, I'm a really good person. I'm just misunderstood. No, I had to get clear. I'm not a good guy. Left to my own devices. I'm not the toughest guy. I'm not a gun-carrying guy. I'm not a violent guy. I'm not that guy. But I can be those things. But just on me, you don't want me as a friend when I'm like that. I'll steal anything. I'll lie about anything. That's what I do. Alcohol. Some young lady said it before. We grow up in Alcoholics. My wife has said that for years. She grew up in Alcoholics Anonymous. A sober gentleman, a woman of grace and dignity. That's what we get. Yeah. And I was willing. Desperation back to step one made me willing. And I felt I couldn't wait to get to the next meeting. Free coffee. Have a donut. They didn't count how many cookies you had. I'm starving. They used to say, put $1 in the basket. If you need one, take one. There was a group called the Greenwood Group in Brooklyn, 20th Street and 7th Avenue. They would say, put $1 in the basket. If you need one, take one. Some of us took one to get on the bus to get home or whatever. And so I got an understanding of step 2 by finding out what God wasn't, where I believed God was working in my life, where I didn't think He was working in my life. And it came to, rarely have we seen a person who has thoroughly followed our path. Step 3. It says we have the capacity to be honest. Well, I wasn't honest about anything, but I had the ability to be honest. And what had to happen, that all the stuff had to be emptied out. The process of recovery is not addition, but removal. The less of me, the more God, less me. Up to die to self. It's kind of like, I got this can of soda here, and I love this analogy. I don't know, maybe it's 8 ounces, 10 ounces of soda in here. It's fine now. I've been drinking it. But if I left it here till next Tuesday, or next month, or next year, that contents doesn't taste so good. It goes flat. It probably get a little contaminated. It probably got some sediment in it that's not real good. If I drank it, I'd probably get sick, get upset belly. But the container is just a week or a month or a year older. That's all it is. The container's fine. There's a capacity to be filled. What I need to do is empty out what's in there, rinse it out, and pour new liquid in, and I'm good to go. The process of recovery is about emptying all this out. The hook is, I don't know how to do it, and I can't do it, but God could have, would if He was sought. Am I seeking?
Yes.
Yeah. We have the capacity to be honest. How is it possible that I can go from a liar, a cheat, and a thief, where I know if I'm telling a lie and it can't go. It can't. My wife says there's no right way to do a wrong thing. You can't. I'm lying right now. This hurts. This is painful. How's this possible? A life which demands rigorous honesty. Demands, not suggests. And it's not cash register honest. It's honest across the board, starting with I'm an alcoholic, and to drink is to die. And if I don't get God, I'm going to drink and I'm going to die. So I took a look at step 3 where it says, made a decision. I didn't do anything to turn my will and life over to the care of God. So I'm sitting on the couch. I'm 50 pounds overweight. I'm having banana splits every night. I go to tie my shoes. I can't even reach them, let alone breathe. You know. And I'm still claiming it's a high school football injury, and I'm 70. You know. And I'm out of shape. And I look up. I says, I'm going to start getting in shape tomorrow. But for those next 8 or 10 hours, I'm still out of shape. I haven't done anything. I made a decision. I'm going to join a health club. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to lift some weights. I'm going to eat better tomorrow. Right now, I'm still out of shape. Making a decision. I'm not in much better shape. I need to take some action. And the thing about step 3, it's great hope for what's lying ahead of me, and at the same time could be a great nightmare of what's in front of me. If I do this step and follow 4 through 9, it's great hope a change will happen. If I don't, I'm just going to go back to doing what I always did, which means I'm always going to get what I always got. Made a decision to turn my will and life, my thinking and my actions, that's everything, over the care of God, as I currently understand Him. Now, as I understand God in this moment, doesn't mean, it means I understand God to be what I want it to be. Group of drunks, good holy direction, great outdoors, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, they don't care. But doesn't mean I'm going to understand God. It's arrogant for me to think I need to understand God's ways. I never will, till my last breath. But I can be a part of this journey, because if I'm disciplined to the journey, He will meet me on the way. Something in Scripture says, be willing and obedient, and I will eat the good things of the land. They don't mean just eating. The good things of the land, all the riches God has in front of us. I will get to experience the amount of what He's giving me. Made a decision to turn my will and life from the care of God as I understood Him. I wrote down on a sheet of paper from my sponsor the 3rd step prayer word for word as appears in the book. And then I wrote down what the 3rd step prayer means to me. He said, write down your interpretation of this prayer. That's not in the book. But what it allowed me to do, because the 3rd step prayer says, God, I offer myself to Thee, to build with me and to do with me as Thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may do Thy will, etc. Where I come from, we don't talk like that. None of us do. It's fancy language. And it's wordy, and what are you talking about? So I broke down, what does God offer myself to Thee mean to me? What does to build with me and to do with me as Thou wilt mean to me? And when I wrote that, I looked at the 3rd step prayer, it was my prayer. It became internalized. I can grasp it. Maybe with an 8th grade education, but it made sense to me. It had depth and weight. So when I went with my sponsor, we got on our knees in his house and did a 3rd step prayer. I was petrified. I was stumbling along. He said it for me while I was holding his hands on our knees, but I said it with him, and I'm hearing what I think it means to me. Something happened. But I was so naive and so new, I thought the 3rd step prayer had to do specifically with drinking and non-conference approved dry goods. I still didn't grasp the depth and width and weight of what step 3 is asking me. That my life is now none of my business, and I had to quit playing God why it didn't work. Currently, what does that look like? Where am I playing God? When I'm going live, am I working a 3rd step? When adversity hits, I might get frustrated, I might get annoyed, I might use some curse words, but at the end result, God, it's yours. Tell me where to go, what to say, and what to do. I'm in your care. What does it look like live? It's way beyond just reciting something. And the way I carry out this 3rd step is not by doing it and saying, okay, do the 3rd step and hang around for 6 months, is next, immediately, 4 through 9. If not, if I do that, the prayer will stay with me, the spirit of that prayer. If I don't, it's just a nice prayer I said. By the way, it says the wording was, of course, quite optional. So if I never saw the 3rd step prayer, and I went before my Creator and says, Father, I'm done, take over, same thing. It's the intent at which we pray, even now. I mean, I could say a lot of prayers in the morning. I know lots of prayers. And God says, this is boring. Your intent isn't so pure today. That's why sometimes help from my gut is a complete prayer. God got it. It says, God, I offer myself to Thee. Sometimes we'll go to Barnes and Nobles or one of these bookstores, and you go into like the New Age section, you got the self-help section. Myself doesn't need any more help. It's done enough damage. And I'm trying to relieve me of the bondage of self. Self has me in bondage. Take away my difficulties. This self, if you can imagine this thing following me around, That's part of my mind, and it does and says everything for me. And it's not working, yet I continue to return to it. God's got to cut bait with that for me. Relieve me of this monster that's devouring me. I can't do it on my own. So it says, God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them, that's a promise, may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Always. Bear witness, living proof. It doesn't say amen. Most prayers end with an amen, because I'm about to go into the searching. It's a continual movement. Decision 3, get up off my knees. 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7-step prayer has an amen. 4 now, I've completed that body work, so I'm about to go out there and make amends. So I sat with my sponsor, and I'm almost out of time here, with the 3rd step. And I remember walking into his house, and he was a kind of a roughneck. Cursed a lot, just street guy who found God in Alcoholics Anonymous, and now was a meditator and a prayer and a churchgoer. And I walked into his apartment, and it was only lit up with candles. This is a little strange right now. This is AA. What are we in for? And we walked into the living room, and we got on our knees, and I was a little uncomfortable. And then he held my hands. I'm very uncomfortable. And but I went with the program. And he knew I was nervous. Let's close our eyes and do the 3rd step prayer. As I said, I was stumbling along, and he led me through it. I'll never forget this. We got up off our knees, and we went to the kitchen table. We had our big books. He opened it up, and he showed me next. We've also had a course of vigorous action. Vigorous. When you go to the gym, it's a vigorous workout. When you go for a run, it's a vigorous run. You're breaking a sweat. So there's some heavy lifting here. I'm out of time. Next week, hopefully talk more about this. All I got, peace.